Pearl couldn't have had that display take place because we would have instantly have called it racist because she's a white woman. But now she has black people doing what she had set forward. Yeah. So you have a black man now that is allowing that to take place.
This is what I got from Pearl from the very beginning. This is what I saw from her. The way that she spoke within definitely the most racist, dangerous, manipulous person out there right now. Yeah. Because she's got these black people doing the work for her.
Tension's going on to Melanie King now because she's doing the work for the men. But let's not forget the men that facilitated these conversations.
Because it was his show.
Because it was his show, and he let it breathe. And Melanie's being manipulated as well. She was on another show.
I don't think she is. I think she fully knows what
she's supposed to be on there to hold black women accountable because there's an element to colorism in here too. Because they allow her, because she's their preference, to dogpile on black women or darker skinned women to kind of so they don't have to.
Absolutely.
Does it?
That's why I said
absolutely.
Maybe, what's the word? She's a pawn in this conversation.
But she knows what she's doing.
Willingly.
I'm just saying,
if she wasn't acknowledging, if she wasn't aware of what she's doing, then I would say she's a pawn. She's being used. Yeah. But she's going on there purposely to hold that position.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Real Talk Corner. I am your host, Ariana Quantum Healer, the Quantum Healer, with my co-host, Sabrina Williams, in the building. We're back. I know we took a couple days off, y'all. Don't kill us. You know, it is what it is. But tonight we are going to jump in it. This next one I wanted to do, this one's pretty short, but it is about, I don't know if you've heard of Pearly. I think her name, she goes by Pearly Things. She has a podcast, and I know it's on YouTube. I think it's just Pearly Things, which she's a white girl that was playing college, went over into Europe, ended up starting a podcast. The interesting thing is they call her the female Andrew Tate because she says a lot of misogynistic stuff against women, and basically is built her career. And she's pretty young. She's still in her late 20s. But she's built her career on telling women that if they're not virgins, then their value goes down. You know, she's made a career, and predominantly black women on her show is the kicker. Predominantly black women on her show that she likes to tear down, to tell them if they have a high body count, they ain't shit. No one's going to ever marry them. If they're in their 30s, their value has gone down. Men don't want women that aren't. I mean, she's built a career on this, and it's crazy to me that people still fucking listen to her, that people still, I remember I was watching one show about her, and there was a woman that was in her late 30s, and she kept going at this. And I think the woman was Latin. And she kept going at her like if because she's older that she has no value. And she was like, who told you I don't have value? Who said because I'm in my late 30s that I don't have no value? She was like, I'm a much better woman than I am now than I was in my 20s. And I was like, you damn right. That's damn right. Because I look at it and I'm like, you wouldn't have wanted to date my ass in my 20s. I was fucking horrible. I ain't the woman I was in my 20s.
Me too. I ain't gonna even lie.
So it's like, it's crazy to me that this girl, in her mind, you have sold this bullshit that you can't even live up to. And in this interview, you're gonna see a lot of it, because Piers Morgan, I actually like him. Not all of his interviews, because sometimes he gets on my nerves, but he actually is someone who goes toe to toe with his guests, and he has a lot of disrespectful guests. Like, on his show, his guests be cussing at him, maybe saying some crazy shit to his ass, but he's always coming at them like, like on some real shit. The crazy thing, he has a guest host on here that is actually the one that's going to go at just Pearly Things on her views, because her views about women are just fucking bananas. So we're going to take a look at this and just comment on it. I definitely have some shit to say about this. I've seen some clips on it from other people who did some clips on it, but I wanted to go ahead and pull up this one and just kind of look at it. But I don't like her. I think that especially because her predominant people that are on her show are Black. I think she is someone who targets people and puts them down. And then she has had known Klan member on her show that she's agreed with in so many aspects of that. And then you just always have all of these Black people on your show. And I'm like, nobody sees this? Nobody thinks this is a problem? I don't know. I don't know, y'all.
They don't want to talk about it, but we going to talk about it.
Organiser Sir Pearl Davis has racked up a legion of online followers and plenty of breathless newspaper coverage by sharing her incendiary views on modern feminism. The New York Post called her the female Andrew Tate. So she tapped into genuine female pushback to the excesses of wokery, or is she just an attention seeker? We'll find out in a moment. But first, let's take a look at the clip that sent her viral.
A lot of people think I'm insane because I don't think women should vote. Everybody thinks I'm crazy for this opinion. If anything, this is probably my most extreme opinion. 90% of women have been on birth control. 1 out of 3 women has had an abortion. 1 out of 3 women has an STD. Average body count is over 5, so that your average wife has slept with over 5 people. 95% of women are not virgins on their wedding days. So I understand the complaint.
Okay, well, Pearl joins me now alongside political journalist Ava Santini, who was nodding furiously along there to everything she heard. Right, Pearl, you've been called the female Andrew Tate. How do you plead?
Well, I take it as a compliment. You know, I'm a fan of Andrew Tate.
Of everything he says?
It depends what we're talking about. But overall, I think he's got a good message. I think he's good for young men.
Okay, look, you're talking about women predominantly, which is why you've got this big following. And your view is that modern feminism is deeply flawed. I would argue a lot of your proposals, like taking the vote away from women, are deeply regressive. Mm-hmm. Why would you want to remove, just from yourself, the right to vote?
Well, what happened was I had the same view, right? Back when I started, I was like, why? I found out that only 5% of women wanted the right to vote. And I couldn't figure out, like, why would women not? No, it's true. It's true. You look it up.
At the time. Because they've been conditioned by men to think that they shouldn't have a vote.
I mean, that's what they say. But, you know, I started reading their writings, right? And what I found out was that the reason a lot of women advocated for it was because they believed it was the beginning of the breakdown of the family. You know, before you became one in marriage, 85% of people were married. And, you know, I hate to say it, but they were right. What has happened 100 years later?
Well, what's that going to do with them having the vote?
Well, it also goes back to responsibility. Again, men are 80 to 90% of the military. They run all of the infrastructures that make society run. So I just think if we want an equal say in society, then be equal. Do 50% of the hard jobs. Be 50% of the military. In the U.S., they're fined $250,000 if they don't join selective service, which is essentially the draft.
Okay, but specifically on the vote, what would having the right to vote have to do with family cohesion, for example?
Well, because again, before you weren't trying to divide a family. It was one family unit. You had one vote for the family. I mean, I don't think it's good for a family to have 2 votes.
Ava, your mouth seems to have dropped about.
No, do you know what it's
like? I know.
It's just sort of a bit galaxy brain. I feel like, you know, the stats that you're putting down are perhaps correct in some universe.
Which stats?
They just kind of don't really add up. I mean, just to take you back to the to the women's writings that you've allegedly read. I mean,
allegedly. What do you mean allegedly?
At the time that you're talking about, you know, women weren't really allowed to write. They weren't allowed to go to school.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were. That's incorrect. The first female property owner was in the 1600s. The idea that women couldn't work and couldn't.
I'm so sorry, but that will be inherited.
No.
I just got to stop us real quick. Okay. One, she starts spitting all of these facts and figures like she just knows everything, which is her problem. Because you literally, no matter what side you're on to any argument, you can find research studies that back what you think. And you also can find ones of opposite, right? And when she's talking about like women just hella doing big things, there were some women that we know that were the pushback to the law, but not every woman had the right to vote. Not every woman had the chance to own a business. We know that in women history. So for her to just act like in the 1600s, women were just also owning shit that wasn't inherited, because for a woman to own something, she inherited through the family. She didn't just make it. She didn't create it. She didn't just have it. So this shit about that she's owned all, like women have just had all of this ownership. I was just like, this is your problem. This is your problem, especially in the 1600s. What black woman you knew, what Hispanic woman you knew in the 1600s in America that was owning shit and had millions of dollars? Like,
Exactly.
get the fuck out of here with this shit. So her breakdown, this shit about not being able to vote. What? Because there's more men out there doing these jobs. So what? What happens to the women that are out there?
Exactly.
So if a woman decides to take care of her family, she shouldn't have a vote on what's going on. So if a woman is married, only her husband should have a vote on what's going on.
But she also lives here too. It's gonna affect her too. But she don't have.
No, I don't think she does. I think she still lives in the UK. She still lives in the UK. That's where her podcast and everything is. It's over in the UK. That's why she's on this show. That show is in the UK. It's not here in the US. So
no, I'm saying like the not having a woman not being able to vote. That woman has to live in that country. That her vote should matter. She has to. Right. She's gonna, whatever they decide to do is gonna affect her. So why wouldn't she be a part of the vote?
This is her ideology that women really should go back to the 1600s. And I don't understand where she gets that, why she thinks that we would benefit from all of women going back to what women were in the 1600s. It's like, do you even really fucking hear what you're saying?
The first female millionaire was in the late 1800s.
And was that inherited?
No, it wasn't. It was self-made. Yes, it was.
Self-made.
Yes, it
and
was.
She never inherited land.
Yes, she did not
inherit it.
What law
permitted that?
What
law permitted that?
Well, there was no law. I mean, there's always been women that were influential in history.
Let's get on to the vote. So what I don't understand is, a part of your message, I've researched you today, and hang on a minute.
Okay.
Your big push is that you care about men and you don't think that men are getting enough of a say. But
I care about
hang
women
on,
too.
I haven't made the point yet. Because of feminism, okay? What I wonder is when you start making calls out like repeal the 19th, women shouldn't be allowed to vote. How is that helping young men? Because these young men have women in their lives. They have mothers, they have sisters, they have teachers. And they turn around, they don't know how to act around women because you're giving them license to be misogynistic.
I wouldn't call it misogynistic. I say be equal. So again, men do all of the
feminists.
Well, then, okay, I'd love for the feminists, please apply for the oil rigs. Please go do the hard jobs in society. They're open, they're hiring, because I don't I don't think men or women are equal until we do the equal work. So no, listen, go apply to be on the oil rigs, go be a plumber, go be an electrician, go be on the front lines of the military, and then we should have equal rights. But
crazy part about there are women electricians.
Exactly.
There are women in construction doing the hard work. It's crazy because there was actually a lady. I'll probably put it up so I can put it in here so you guys could see it later. I'll probably stitch it in later. But you'll see that there was actually a lady that was in construction. They called her out and talked shit to her because she always uses that argument. And she was like, no, I'm the woman out here doing the hard work. She had no makeup on, looked rough. And she was talking shit like, don't tell us that we don't exist. There's women who are truckers. Women are fucking truckers now. Women are doing the fucking jobs that she say women aren't doing. Now, not all women want to do that. I tell people all the time, I'm not out there trying to fucking have men's jobs. Y'all can keep that shit. I will keep my ass in the AC real fucking quickly before I'm trying to fight for a man's job. I don't feel in that respect that men and women are equal because we're not. We're not built the same. Our physique isn't the same. We're not equal on that measure. Men are men, women are women. But to sit and say there aren't women out there doing the same jobs, I used to be very adamant, like I could do what you could do. I used to be that type of girl, especially when I was younger. I was in a warehouse slinging packages, beating most of the men on the team to where I was a lead in the warehouse, showing out because of that mindset. Like, I'm a show out. Y'all think y'all could do this? You think you all that? But I had a hate towards men at the time. It wasn't like I was just out there, because when you think about it, you're like, if I don't have to do that job, no, I'd rather be at fucking home, you know, chilling in the fucking AC. But she makes it seem like there are no women out here doing these jobs. And I think that's a disrespect to the women that go every day, that are busting their ass out here, that are sweating, that ain't all dialed up, that are fucking like toe to toe with men in these jobs. Even the women that are out here, they might not be on the oil rig, but you can't tell me a woman trying to make a name in being a lawyer, a doctor, or wherever these careers that predominantly were men running these. You can't tell me in the last 20 years, women haven't been busting their ass to get noticed, to get recognition, to get seen as who they are instead of just a woman in a skirt. So women have been busting their ass to be looked at as hey, we're equals, you know?
You don't sleep with your goddamn husband? Then what do you have to offer? What are you bringing him?
I've been with my husband for 18 years. We've been together for 17, we've been together since we were 17. And he is the kind of husband that people would call a unicorn. He treats me like a queen. He cleans the house. He does everything that most women on this app is constantly complaining about their husband that they don't do. My husband actually does all of that without me having to ask or fight for it at all. He is an equal partner. He is a completely immersed father. I could get up and leave the house right now and just say, hey, I'm leaving, without anything else. And he's like, got it, cool. He doesn't call me, he doesn't text me, where are you, come back, with none of that. There isn't a day that goes by that this man does not call me beautiful or tell me how much he appreciates me. Obviously, it goes both ways. We have an amazing sex life, but that doesn't mean that in the 18 years we haven't had dry spells. And in 5 of those years, in the beginning of our relationship, he was an awful man. He was. We were kids. He was awful. He was addicted to video games. He would be one of those where I would come in and he'd be playing and I would want his attention and he would fight me about it. It was really, really bad. It was a very dark time, and I'm not going to go more into details as to how bad it got. Never physical. You know how that changed? I knew my worth. I packed up my stuff and I left him. And we were separated for about 6 months. And when he came back, asking for me back, I gave him expectations. And I said, I'm not coming back unless I see this. And I held up. I held him to those expectations. And I did not come back until he had a job, until he had a place for us to move out, because we were living with his parents at the time. And within 2 years after that, we had our first baby. And that man, the man that is my husband today, that literally is the almost perfect man, okay? That man is the complete opposite of what he used to be. And why is that? It's because I put my expectations up. And because if he wanted me, he was going to have to reach those expectations. So ladies, stop listening to crap like this girl who obviously has no experience whatsoever. You keep your worth up. You keep your expectations up. Because a man that truly loves you will build a rocket ship to reach those expectations. Okay? And do not settle. Ever. Don't ever settle for less.
But yeah, I think she's a disservice to talking shit to women as if they're not trying to make their mark, as if they're not fighting to make their mark in the world. And a lot of women actually have to choose career over children, career over marriage. And they can't play the same role. A man can still have a family and go for his career, where a woman can't. She has to choose in a lot of instances. So I think it's very unfair to talk shit to women as if they're not equal, as if they're not helping run this country, as if they're not in seats of politicians these days. We have women who are politicians. And so her ideology about women as if women are just hanging around doing absolutely fucking nothing is like, Yeah, like who are you? Yeah, I don't like this girl. I always see her shit comes up with other people talking about her, and I cringe at her shit because I'm like, I hope these girls are not listening to you. I really hope they're not taking your fucking advice, because you would actually just make everyone feel like shit and be depressed, like the way she talks down on women. And if you guys don't know who Andrew Tate is, he basically was like this guy, millionaire, had all this money, who basically would talk to women like they were nothing. Women were nothing. They were less than, um, and women should know their place kind of energy, and then he ended up going to jail and being indicted for having fucking escorts, so the man popping all his shit like you just got women all on you, but you over here, got women in escorts. You could tell when someone has a hate for someone. You could tell the men who have a hate for women, because they're going to beat them. They're going to do stuff to them that they have no respect for a woman. And a man like that has issues. That's not a great world view. No man who views a woman in a way with love and respect would ever talk to them in that way, would ever tell them they need to know their place, and shit like that. So I think her view is like, where did you fucking get your view? Like, is that how your dad taught your mom? Was that what you saw at home?
But until feminists are willing to do that, I don't believe we should have the freedom without the responsibility.
Okay, well, I don't think that I'm physically built for that. You might be, but I'm absolutely not.
But you
said you were
volleyball. Wow.
You said you were a volleyball player, and so you've got more strength than I do. I don't think.
But
that
I don't have more strength. I don't have more strength than the average man.
I'm not going to take your right away.
I don't have more strength than the average man. But again, it goes back to go be a plumber. You want to be equal, go be equal.
You also, but you want divorce to be made illegal.
Yes.
Why?
Yes, because I don't think what we have today is really marriage. What is marriage? It's for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. That's what marriage is supposed to be. But feminists have ruined marriage for the people that actually believe in marriage.
How?
When there's a 50% divorce rate and the average marriage
Why is that all down to the women,
years.
though?
I didn't say that it was all down to the women.
So why feminists?
You asked why I want divorce to be banned.
Yeah.
Can I finish that first? So I'm saying, the people that believe in divorce, go be in long-term relationships. Leave marriage for the people that actually believe in for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health, till death do us part.
But doesn't the sanctity of marriage also rely on the woman being a virgin? So you wouldn't be able to get married.
What do you mean?
Well, you've spoken quite openly about how you're not a virgin, and so if you want to preserve that sanctity of marriage, I just think that you're upholding standards that you don't actually live by.
And that's a fair complaint. I wish I was, but we can't.
Got her. Got her on that one. And she's a big one that talks about that virgin shit. This bitch ain't a virgin, and she slept more than a couple people, okay? She's definitely, so all the shit that she preaches to the women fan base that she has is all the shit that she can't uphold in her own life, And I'm gonna be dead ass, you guys. I don't give a fuck what people tell you. I don't agree with that waiting until you're married to be a virgin. Well, we look at history. When women were virgins, they didn't even know how to satisfy their men. So, and most of those men didn't even instruct them on how to satisfy them. So you're basically just there, not really knowing what the fuck you're supposed to be doing. It's not really like fun or whatever, because you're just so out of touch with what sexual pleasure is. That's the problem in marriages, because people are so inexperienced that they rely on their person to make them happy, that most women don't even know how to make them own self have an orgasm. You know what I mean? You're relying on the man to do it. He don't fucking know how to do it.
True.
So it's not to just say like, oh, once you use those vows, like nothing's ever going to happen. And it's crazy because she has actually said on other shows that no matter what, far as abuse, that a woman should stay in a relationship regardless to what's going on. And it was just like, you would really tell a woman that if she's being abused, or a man, if you're being abused in a relationship, in a marriage, that you should stay? Like that's your go-to. And it's just like, wait, what? The sanctity of marriage doesn't mean that if this person turned it. We just watched that where that man lawyer turned on his wife after like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So they're supposed to stay in a relationship because they said for better or for worse. For better or for worse did not say that you're going to beat the shit out of me.
Exactly.
Or that you're going to talk down to me or disrespect me or yell at my kids or put your hands on the kids and shit. That is not what for better or for worse is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, girl, who the fuck then raised you? So it's crazy that it's like, yeah, you shouldn't be able to get a divorce. Like, wait, what? Like the people, not everybody is going to stay together. And it's not a crime to get divorced. Like people frown on this shit like it's oh so bad. People just, they're not the same. People grow out of love and shit. It's like, so what? Go on about your business. It's not a fucking crime, nor is it a sin to fucking get a divorce. It's life. She makes it seem like it's so bad. Like, y'all, please don't listen to her. Please do not get advice from this girl. She will have you all fucked up in your life.
Go back. I don't know what you want me to say.
No, but I just don't think it's fair that you get to be here and you get to be paid for your views, and you're telling other women that they shouldn't be allowed to.
I think.
Hang on. Okay, let me, if I may, at some stage jump in. Isn't the whole point of being a feminist, though, that women are entitled to have their own views?
Absolutely. And
so she's perfectly entitled to her views.
Yeah, but you can't.
You might not like them.
But I'm here to challenge
Isn't she exercising her rights as a... Are you a feminist?
No, I am not.
Really?
No, I wouldn't. Don't go that far.
You don't want to be a feminist?
No, because I think if feminists really believed in equality, but you guys don't, I would love for you. There is an oil rig hiring. There is an engineering.
I would actually love to see Ava Santana on an oil rig.
No, seriously. There is a building being built next to my building. Go do it, feminists. Go do it. And me, I'm doing the same job that I'm doing right now.
When you find the man you want to get married to, are you saying you will be with that man whatever happens the rest of your life?
Yes, for the vows that we're supposed to live by.
How do you know you can keep them?
I mean, I think it's a choice. And that's the thing, like women are so willing to leave marriages because they're not happy. This is not about happiness. The most important thing is the children. And the problem is we have a modern society where it's me, my feelings, leave when I feel like it, instead of doing what's best for the kids.
Ava, I've got to say, it's a little bit listening to Andrew Tate where some of it I really don't agree with. I don't agree with the vote stuff.
Yeah, no.
Right.
I don't agree with that.
She just said the total opposite of you should leave because of the kids. You don't want your kids to see you getting cheated on, abused, or just being unhappy. Your kids can see when you're unhappy.
Didn't she just say, though, that marriage is built on values and all of this stuff? But now you don't marry for happiness. You marry for your children.
You shouldn't have no values now.
So you're not supposed to be happy.
Right.
Anyone who has ever been married or even watched your parents, and when your parents pretended to be happy, you as a child knew they were not happy.
Mm-hmm.
You knew, you felt it, you seen it. Your dad probably wasn't loving with your mom, or your mom wasn't loving to your dad. You saw it in some way, shape, or form. It played out. As much as they tried to pretend that they were in love or they were together, you saw two people there, but they were not in love and they were not loving towards each other. That does not create a happy home. That does not create a balanced home just because you got mom and dad are there until you get older and you divorce and go your separate ways. That's bullshit to tell people that, well, what's the matter? Stay with this person to the end until your kids grow up so your kids can have a better life. You as a child feel that. You feel the unhappiness, you feel the anger, and you start to think it's your fault. As a child, you will think it's your fault that your parents are fucking miserable because they stayed together. Because most parents, and my mom has said it, she tried to keep her family together. So it's like, damn, you stayed with this motherfucker for us. Like you.
No, it's true.
Man.
Most wives do it because I've done it. And so we both until we both realized that it was them seeing how our moods changed when I came home or when he came home, or hearing us argue, or just having an attitude for no reason. Yes, the kids see that. They sense it. They know what's going on. They're not as dumb as we think them to, and they're not going to stay. I'd rather you leave than stay,
Right.
and we all do it. We stay for the children's
Right.
until that is not, that is not
Right.
it.
Because you can co-parent. You can divorce and co-parent.
Yes.
That is when you put the kids first. You say, you know what, maybe we couldn't make it. Maybe
It's
we
true.
couldn't make each other happy, but we will co-parent the fuck out
Mhm.
of these kids
And
together.
it's so much easier because when both of you are not agreeing and you guys are arguing, he
Right.
goes home, you home, and that's how that ends. And an hour later he may call and y'all continue from there. But it's no arguing, no, to where it gets escalated and the kids are
Right.
hearing the name calling, you know what I mean? You're
Right.
home, I'm home, and they don't see that stuff.
Right. Right. Like we knew my mom and dad did not have all of those loving moments. We didn't see it. We did not. We saw way more arguing. And I used to ask, like, why'd you stay? Like, why'd you stay with him? You guys probably would have been happier without each other. Like, why did you guys stay together? And then from, our generations, the more mothers stayed, more
Mm-hmm.
fathers stayed because they had to. It was like, that's your duty, you stay. And
Mm-hmm.
now our generations have come up like, no, that's not. We're not just going to stay just because. And your kids are way more intelligent than what you give them credit for.
Mm-hmm.
They see way more than what you think that they see. And they're more in tuned. And I feel like your child should have a happy parent.
Exactly.
Because when you're not a happy
And
parent,
kids do. They rather see their mom and dad happy apart than miserable together because we
right,
all know that that environment is not healthy. The energy it it reflects on our children. We may not want to do it purposely, but if
right,
we're arguing with our husband and the kid asks for something, we may, say something in a hostile, tone because we're already aggravated and it's not on purpose. We're not trying to,
right.
yell or whatever to the child, but they kind of step into that energy, that attitude. And I know kids will prefer to see, their parents happy apart than miserable together.
Definitely. Definitely. I really think that um they your kids are going to be happy with you dealing with that shit, or they're going to be happy with you staying in an unhappy place, because you can feel it. There's no way around
First
it.
marriage in the UK is 31. Is a 31-year-old bride ideal for most men? No.
Hey Pearl, do you think you're the ideal bride for any man at any age? Because you've never been married. You're still single and never been in a long-term relationship. And according to you, women lose significant value to men after the age of 25. You're 26. Yes, everybody, if you can believe it, I believe she is 26. I found my man at 40. Maybe it's just you.
All right, you guys, thank you for watching. Once again, we will see you on the next one. This is Real Talk Corner. I am your host, Ariana, the Quantum Healer, and my co-host, Sabrina Williams, in the building. You guys stay safe. Drop us a comment because we want to know what the fuck you think about this ridiculousness shit that we were watching today. Bye.